All right, we are live. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. I'll give you guys time to let everybody know that we are here. We're getting rolling. I'm so excited tonight. I hope you guys are excited because I am very, very excited about what's going to take place on tonight and this discussion with some amazing producers. Man, I'm telling you, I was lucky that they all said yes. I couldn't believe it. Like they all three were available and all three said yes. But before we get started in the discussion, listen, I need everybody, if you're watching me right now, please hit like and share. Please hit like and share. All right. So find this video. If you're watching on YouTube live, please hit like and share. If you're watching us on Facebook live, please hit like and share. All right. Do that for me real quick. We're going to get the discussion going because I'm excited to get these guys on and have this discussion with everybody tonight. Listen, who are you saying that, who is the audience for this tonight? All right. We're talking to independent, whether you're new, emerging, or established artists. Okay. We're talking to producers. If you're an aspiring producer, if you kind of producing a little bit in your basement, if you're an established producer, like those are the people that we're wanting to reach out to tonight. So listen, definitely get everybody that you know that can benefit from this discussion. Get them on this live right now. All right. So we're on Facebook Live. You can go to the Avidity Awards Facebook page and on my personal profile page, Derrick Huggins. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel, which is on YouTube at Avidity Awards. Okay. So I see y'all starting to come in. Please hit like, please hit like, please hit like and share. Y'all starting to come on, but y'all ain't hitting like and share for me. Hit like and share. And the reason why I'm asking you guys to hit like and share is because the more you hit like and share, the more that the algorithm will let more people know that we're on. All right. So please, if you're watching this right now, go ahead and there y'all go. Y'all doing it. I appreciate that. Please go ahead and hit like and share. And the more that happens, the more people will be notified that we're on and more people will come in and watch the broadcast. So we appreciate y'all doing that. Also, really quickly, if you're not already, listen, follow us on all social media platforms at Avidity Awards, okay? At Avidity Awards. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And I also want to remind you guys about the 8th Annual Avidity Awards coming up this January 11th through the 15th in New Orleans, Louisiana. Listen, it's the biggest night in independent gospel music. You want to be there. You don't want to miss it. Hosted by 2-time Grammy nominated, 6-time Stellar Award winning, and 6-time Emmy Award winner B. Slade is going to be our host, and he is performing. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great night. If you want more information about the show, definitely go to our website at theavidityawards.com. All right. And we want to encourage you guys, get your tickets. Come on down to New Orleans. It's going to be an amazing time. We've got an amazing weekend of events going on top to bottom. Starting on that Thursday night on January the 11th is going to be our sneaker masquerade ball. All right. And then immediately following that, we have the Singers and Musicians Shed that's going on right after that, hosted by Morgan Turner. You don't want to miss that. Then on Friday, January the 12th, Friday morning is our Independent Gospel Music Hall of Fame breakfast. All right. And we're honoring some titans in gospel music, including iHeart's own Tracy Bethea. We're honoring Dr. Liz Black. We're honoring Broderick Purvis, as well as Edwin the Chef Wright, program directors in Kentucky and Charleston, respectively. We're also honoring Talisa Stinson and the one and only Roger Willis, y'all, of New Beginning Mastering. They're all being honored that Friday morning for the Independent Gospel Music Hall of Fame. This is our inaugural Hall of Fame inductee class, so y'all don't want to miss that, okay? And then Friday night is our pre-show. We've got some amazing groups going to be singing at our pre-show, and we're also giving out awards that night. We're awarding awards that night at the pre-show. That's at 7 o'clock. At the Jefferson Performing Arts Center, 6400 Airline Drive there in Metairie, Louisiana. You don't want to miss that. And then right after that, y'all, listen, I'm telling you, the whole weekend is just lit and full, okay? After the pre-show, we're going to have our pre-show bowling after party, so you don't want to miss that. And then on Saturday is the big day. Saturday, January the 13th, it's the biggest night in independent gospel music. Listen, our purple carpet starts at 3 p.m., and then the main show and television taping begins at 6 p.m. So you do not want to miss that. Then on Sunday, right, at 2 p.m. is going to be the Indie Artist Help Desk live master classes are going down on that Sunday. That's all free, okay? That is free on that Sunday. And then immediately following that, we have an Indie Artist Showcase that we're going to have as well. That's going to be at Dillard University. I'm very excited about our partnership with Dillard University. And speaking of Dillard University, we are also we've added an event on Monday, January the 15th, which is MLK Day. We're partnering with Dillard University and the Lawless Memorial Chapel, and we're going to be hosting Let Freedom Sing. All right, this is going to be the kickoff of the Avidity Awards Indie Inspirations Tour, where we're going all across the country to HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. Y'all, I'm telling you, some great things are happening with the Avidity Awards. Make sure that you are a part of it. For more information, definitely go to our website at www.theavidityawards.com. All right, so now I took care of all my housekeeping stuff. Now let's get these gentlemen on. Morgan will be joining us soon. He is wrapping up a sound check, but as soon as he is done, he will be on. But without further ado, let me introduce this first gentleman. Listen, I don't even know how to introduce these people, man. They got so many accolades, raccolades, and charts and graphs and awards. But anyway, award-winning producer, none other than Asaph Alexander Ward. What? Asaph, what's going on, bro?
Bishop Huggins, what's going on, brother?
Man, listen, I can't call it. I might spoil it, man. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, man, glad to be here, man. I'm just in a season of always sharing, and anytime I can add some insight or share what I know, it's very important to do that. I think enough of us aren't doing that, and I'm just honored that you reached out and that you want to do this, because it's about the people. It's about the next. It's about empowering the next. You know, we can't keep doing the same old thing. Music has to evolve. So I'm just glad I can be here to share. I'm going to just let it all out, let the Lord use me, and all the gifts.
Yes.
We'll see what happens.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad you're here, man. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to come back to you in a minute so you can tell the people who you are. I mean, in case some of the people been under a rock for the last 25, 30 years and don't know who you are, we'll make sure we do the formal introduction. But without further ado, let me bring this next gentleman on. Listen, I call him the Louisiana Assassin, y'all. That's what he is. And that's none other than my brother, the producer extraordinaire, Mr. Sean Keys. What's going on, Sean Keys?
What's up, Derrick? What's happening? Asaph, what's going on, brother?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man, look, I'm honored as well to be a part of this. Man, I just love sharing information. You know, people didn't really do that for me, you know, when I was coming up in this thing. So, man, any way that I can help to share, you know, and expand the kingdom in this way, man, I'm always honored to do it. Thank you for this platform. I appreciate being on this with you, bro. Oh, did Derrick go?
Yeah, they got rid of him.
Right.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go.
Right.
I'm not going to take over. We'll see what happens when he comes back.
Right.
So what part of Louisiana are you from?
Man, I'm actually in a place called Slidell, Louisiana. Where I'm about 30 minutes from New Orleans.
Got you.
Yeah, so I'm about 30 minutes from New Orleans. So I always tell people New Orleans because they're more familiar with New Orleans. So.
See, that's another conversation I got to ask and have you later. I mean, you being born around all of that going on there. Like,
yeah.
This, I bet you've seen some things.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll
talk later. This ain't the show. This ain't the show.
Yeah, man.
Up the people. Yeah, so I don't know what this means with Derrick, but I'm sure he's going to come back.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much awesome, man.
Yeah, but I grew up in a place called Kenner, though. But if people don't realize when they fly into New Orleans, that's actually Kenner, Louisiana. New Orleans is further in. So yeah, so I grew up listening to planes fly over my head all day, all night.
That's hilarious. No, I have family in Shreveport. So
okay. Yeah,
my whole daddy's side of the family is from there. So we married an uncle from there. So we're familiar with Louisiana, but it was always interesting. So that's definitely a conversation to have.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a different place.
Exactly.
Yeah, different place, man.
Yeah. I think it's awesome that we're just on here. So we're gonna figure this out. Well, let me ask you this. Hopefully he'll just come right on in. So you said something very pivotal. It's one of the main reasons why I do what I do now is you didn't have a lot of support coming up. You had to figure a lot out by yourself.
Absolutely.
What actually, you know, made you realize you had to do it yourself? What did you do
Yeah.
to get it, to figure it out?
Yeah, it was literally like just wanting to, I don't know. I guess the biggest thing coming up, and I'm 48. So coming up in my generation, the biggest thing was like, hey man, I don't want to share this information because I'm afraid you're gonna take my gig.
Oh, that was 100% it.
Yeah.
That was 139% it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I used to get off the org. People would get off the organ, and I was excited because I liked the sound. And I'll be getting ready to get on, and they'll close the draw boards. Like,
oh yeah,
you can't see what I did.
right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like that's
Yeah.
what I experienced coming up. I started playing when I was 5, and I started on organ and
You
drums.
one of them. You one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I started on organ and drums, man. And it's like, nobody would really like show you. It was always like, get it on your own. And I'm just glad that God kind of gifted me to do it. And he just kind of had me kind of figure it out. But with the production thing, like, I was playing for a particular artist, but I was creating all of his music. And then like in the studio, like pretty much spearheading what was supposed to happen at certain points of the song. And the band was like, man, you really like producing, right? And I'm like, yeah, really? What's that? So
Yo, we so glad to have Derrick Huggins on
yeah,
here.
look, welcome to the show, Derrick Huggins.
Hey, Sean, we so glad he joined us.
Right.
And, so we're so happy to have you here, man. I want to go ahead and start the show.
Right.
Okay, it's back in your hands,
Man, let me tell you, I was on my iPad, and then the iPad was like, bloop. And this was so crazy. Yesterday, it was my MacBook Pro. Today is my iPad, so I don't know what in the world's going on. But listen, I'm on the iPhone. I'm like, look, I got reinforcements. We here. So we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it do what it do. So anyway, shout out to everybody that's joining us here in the chat. Shout out to Robin McGee.
Robin.
What's going on? How y'all doing? All right, so let's get this thing started. So without further ado, thank you guys both for being here. Like I said, I know Morgan will probably come on as soon as he's done with his sound check. But I wanted to go to get the ball rolling because I wanted to do this because, Asaph, as you and I were talking and texting, we were talking about how I saw as a award show CEO and what I do in the independent artist space, the necessity for artist development, and how you as a producer saw that necessity, not only from the artist side, but even from the producer side. So this is kind of where I want to just jump into the conversation with this right here. I want you to kind of kick the conversation off by talking about how and where you see the need as it pertains to independent artists or getting that development, and then also producers getting that sort of development as well.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, first, again, my name is Asaph Ward. Some that know me, they call me Alex. Artists, people that have known me my whole life, they'll call me Alex because Alexander is my middle name. But over the years, Alexander didn't get treated right. But when Asaph showed up, people, they put the red carpet out. But then when Alex showed up, they didn't treat him right. They picked him up in handicapped vans and everything else. So I just go by my first name, Asaph, for you guys, just so you all know. I am definitely a record producer. God has blessed me to produce over 80 projects, if not more, over 900 published songs. And it's because I knew that there was a need for my gift, and I just put all of that time in, to be who I've become. I didn't allow people to stop me from becoming what I am. So the thing is, now that I look at music, it used to be to where people were creating, they were coming together. The studio sessions, the record labels will call us and they will say, hey, we got this artist and we're going to be releasing this artist in like 6 months. That artist used to undergo artist development. They had to even meet with a publicist and learn how to speak with interviews. They used to get with us and we would work with them vocally on the stage. We used to show them, give them ideas, because we don't believe in just changing an artist. An artist has their own thing, but try to bring the professionalism to their stage and just the opportunity for them to ask questions, teaching them warm-ups and doing vocal training, which I'm a vocal coach too. So it's like all of that stuff kind of went away when the marketplace became accessible to everyone. Now, I love the fact that the marketplace is accessible to everyone, because who wants to wait on a record label to decide they're going to believe in me, and put me out? If God gave me a gift, I can put myself out. But we have to also understand that one thing the labels offered was artist development, and that part is still there. And somebody said, well, what is artist development? Well, I just kind of explained in a nutshell. It's preparing you as a recording artist to be able to facilitate your gift in any room, and to be able to operate in your behavior to line up to all of the opportunities that you may have musically, that's spiritually, that's intellectually, and that's all of that, right? So what people don't understand, Derrick and Sean, is it's a communication issue. Because the truth is, a singer can be great at their local church. They can even be great in their regional space. And then national people can know them. And they can be awesome, cream of the crop. But when it's time to record, that is a different conversation, because when you're live, well, everyone can record you now. It's a live recording every concert, because somebody's streaming, somebody's recording, doing clips. But the way it was, you sing and everyone enjoy themselves and go home. There's no rewinding what took place that night. But when you go into the studio, or if you do a live recording and release that, people are going to be at home. They're going to rewind that tape. They're going to rewind that tape. They're going to listen to things. So there's a recording process, and you need a record producer to do that. And one thing that I've consulted a lot with is when an artist and a producer, even if the producer's not me, they have a breakdown of communication, of communicating with one another. The artist wants to do it this way. The producer's saying, no, you got to trust me. You got to do it this way. And they don't know how to talk. So for the most part, the need of artist development and the communication piece with producers, just because we're trusted with the brand of the artist, doesn't give us the exclusivity to just be in charge and kick the artist's feelings aside. There's some emotional intelligence that have to be involved, and we have to consider what the artist wants as well, while we're making executive decisions in the production space. And then the artist has to know that, hey, we're here to support you, to make you be great. Now, Derrick, I'm going to say this and I'm going to stop and let you guys finish or take it to the next place. But one thing that Christian, especially gospel artists, one thing we don't think about is we're the one genre where a lot of times the recording artists produce their own records.
Right.
When you go to pop, when you go to hip hop, when you go to country, when you go to all these other things, they allow another set of ears to make those musical executive decisions with their ideas in mind. But in gospel music, we got a lot of great creatives that can sing, that can produce, that can play, they can do this. So in gospel music, a lot of times you're watching the people that you look up to be in charge of their albums. So it causes an artist to say, well, shoot, I'm going to be in charge of my album. Right. And they don't know how to distinguish if they're flat, if they're sharp. They don't know if they're singing with the right emotion. They don't know if they're overpronouncing their words. All they know is they're in charge. And if you're your best fan, you're going to let a lot of things slip through the cracks, trying to be like someone else that produced their record. So producers are important to artists, and producers need to know that understanding the artist's heart and what they desire to have as an outcome is very important for a producer to know. That's my take on that.
Well, first of all, and I'm gonna get Sean in here in just a second, but I want to circle back to, you said, first of all, you said a mouthful. Let me start by saying that. I think one of the things that I don't want to be missed, I don't want to fly over anybody's head, is the fact when you talked about the very purposing of artist development and why labels invested so much money in that process before releasing the artist, because I think the labels had an understanding that, listen, if in order for us to make what you do viable for us, right? Because at the end of the day, y'all can say what y'all want. I know it's about Jesus, and I know y'all want to reach everybody, but at the end of the day, that label has to do what we call recoupment, right? That means they have to make their money back. And so part of the artist development process was to prepare the artist to understand these are some of the machinations you have to go through in order to help us help you, help us, help you, right? And so it's that artist development part was so critical because, to your point, Asaph, learning how to do press interviews and spending time with a publicist was really important, because you are now representing the face of that label. And so they didn't need you out there in the press saying stuff crazy, right? And not knowing how to represent, because you are now a reflection of that label. And so and that's just one component of it, but I'm just going there saying there are so many different aspects. And to your point, Asaph, because when you are the person that's in charge of everything, but yet you lack a lot of the basic fundamental understandings of how the industry and the music business works wholly, then it makes you unprepared to meet the demands of what this career can be. And so I just want to kind of piggyback off what you said, but Sean, I'm gonna get you in here right quick and talk about this process too, because of course you deal with a lot of independent artists, you deal with a lot of new and emerging artists especially. I want to kind of talk to you from that lane. Talk to us why the artist development piece of this is so important, especially for new and emerging artists, and why they need this development, because I know they know everything, and I, like Asaph said, they're super creative and talented, but why do they need to have that development?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what Asaph said as well. It's like, no one person knows everything, especially when you're getting into an industry. And that's what I think a lot of new artists forget. This is an industry. It's not just singing and recording the song. There are a lot of other things that play a part in it after that song is done. I always tell artists, this is the easiest part, is singing this song and getting it right in here. But there's like marketing and all this other stuff that has to happen after the fact. It's super important for artists to know this. And like you're right. I mean, I deal with a lot of independents, a lot of new artists that are coming in. And the difference with me than I think with some of the other producers is that I always tell people I'm going to be with them from giddy up to whoa. I'm here to educate. Like, I don't want to just do your record and then be done with it, and then I don't talk to you no more until you're ready to do a record again. And everybody that I've dealt with, you can pretty much ask, they'll tell you that's me. I want to educate you on how to get the maximum out of what you're doing. Like, it's so much greater than just recording a song, right? I mean, like Asaph said, this is available to everybody's got Pro Tools now. Everybody's got Logic, and a MacBook, and they in the lab. You know what I'm saying? Right? So I mean, it's so many other components to it. Like, so I try to educate artists on, like, okay, we've selected this song for you. First I want to make sure you love the song, because here's the other component. When we're done with this song, you got to go perform this song. So I don't want to give you a song that you love it right now while you're singing in the studio, but then when it doesn't translate to when you go sing it live, so you got to learn about that component. You got to learn about, okay, what do I do after I record this song? What's the next step? How do I make people know I'm here? How I even have a song? Like, what does my social media look like? Like, how am I promoting this song via social media? And what's the proper way to do that? Like, do I need to hire somebody to do that? That whole thing. Like, okay, so now that I've gotten this song, how do I get it, where it's people can consume the song commercially? Like, what do I do? Like, okay, I need to find a distributor. I need to go to the, the CD Babies or the whatever, whatever you want to use. Like, I try to steer them through the whole process, but like I said, that whole artist development piece is missing now. And I think that's why a lot of people get discouraged, especially a lot of newer artists. They get discouraged because when they record the song and they're done with it, they think, okay, now somebody else is going to take it from here and it's going to, no, man, this is all you. You got to make it happen. So yeah, it's super important to know all steps.
So we're already off to a great start. And first of all, let me just stop right here. Anyone that's watching this, if you have not already done so, please, ma'am, please, sir, I need y'all to hit that like and share button. Or better yet, hit the love button. Give us some love, all right? Hit that heart down there. Hit the love button. Hit the share button. Let everybody know. Listen, get every independent artist or aspiring producer. Listen, want to be a producer. I think I'm a producer. God called me to be a producer. I'm producing. However, get them in this room, because this is a great conversation that we're having, and it's a needed conversation. I want to circle back to something And I want you both to tag on this, but I'm gonna go to Alex first. When you were talking about the piece where the artist and the producer needing to find the kind of right balance to work together, because as a producer, you have a certain amount of autonomy with the record, but also it's the artist that's paying you, right? And potentially in this case, we're speaking to independent artists, they are the label. They have a certain amount of autonomy as well. And I before I get you in on that, Alex, I do want to talk about a little bit about, from my vantage point, one of the things I'm always telling the artists is this. I'm saying to them, look, as an independent artist, you are the label. Okay. So that means you have all of the responsibilities that a full service label has, right? From getting, the production, the A&R piece, the artist development piece, marketing, promotion, legal, radio promotions, and all of those aspects and elements that come along with that social media management now. And so I wanted to bring you back in, Alex, on this point to talk a little bit more about why this is me saying this, why I want you to answer for me. Why do you think independent artists need to understand that they must have development regardless of their creative ability, regardless of even connection? Why do they still need that development despite those things?
Well, for one, great question. I think I'm going to say this first because I'm a fair person. I'm a true person that believes that there's no right or wrong with how someone wants to exercise their gifts and set up their platforms. The word that Sean used, I use all the time as well, is maximize. An artist that is wanting to maximize what they have access to, it doesn't make sense it's kind of like the president of the United States. Now, they're the one that is the president of the United States. But if you go inside that White House, you'll find out they got a press secretary. They have people in different areas that are looking out for the president to make sure the president understands. He has a chief of staff. He has advisors. There are people that are in place to help him or her be the best president that they can be. And without that, we're at the mercy of a person's mind. Now, when I say we're at the mercy of a person's mind, that's what I mean. Literally, it's like an artist that feels like they don't need development. We're only at the mercy of what they know.
Well, Alec, that went off in here in my where I'm at. That went off like an atomic bomb. I need you to run that back and say that part again.
Okay.
That's very critical. Say that,
well,
please.
it's when you really think about it, and this actually goes for anyone who's in the position to executively make an executive decision. It can be the artist, it can be a label owner, it could be the producer. But as an artist, we're talking about the artist. It's important that the artist, that their mental health about trusting people is in place. Because if we don't, we're at the mercy of what's in your mind only. And if that recording artist don't know how to walk into a charismatic church and don't pick the right songs to sing in there, or don't know how to go into a place that says your slot is 10 minutes. You can't go over the 12 or 13 minutes. And because the Holy Ghost hit, they didn't went 5 minutes over, and they think it's okay because God did something. There are still rules and principles with the Lord, and obeying and doing what's right is important. So it's kind of like an artist that don't know how to trust people. We only can go off what they know. And that is the scary part. With development, you get to learn more. You get to be smarter. You get to actually be wiser. You get to expand your music. When an artist allows me to do vocal training, and when an artist allows me also to do personal development, one thing I do before I get into any type of music, I ask them, I want to find out how you're feeling, how you're doing. One reason is because as churchgoers and as entertainers in general, we're told to just get up there no matter how we feel. Ooh, just get up there. You know, you could have lost a loved one, and after I tell you I'm sorry and give you my condolence, okay, now get up there. Need you to get up there. And we're going on stage with the mindset that we're having at that time. And if an artist don't have no one to talk to, if they don't have an opportunity to share their heart of what they're feeling, you know, I was working with Kim Burrell on a song, and one of a great song, Come to You More Than I Give. And it took us 2 weeks to do that song. Now people's like, what? What you mean 2 weeks? That means we came in the studio every day and tried it. And it just wasn't working. But a lot of it had to do with what she heard, what she felt, how she was feeling. It wasn't until she left me one day. She just left. She put the headphones down and left the building and said, I'll be back. And I was like, whoa. So I thought it was like 20 minutes. She just needed a break because I am a slave driver a little bit. And I thought maybe that's what it was. But she didn't come back for 3 more hours. But she came back with a new outfit on. Her hair was done. She had on some shades and she had on a mink coat. She said, come on. All right, let's do it. And now the message of this point is a principle issue. She came in, she had to get out of whatever was going on, and she acted like it was a brand new day. And I went along with it. After I figured out that's what was going on, she knocked it out in a take. Because she did not have that whatever was going on, when all singers go through it, all producers go through it, all musicians go through it. I was just telling my wife the other day, you know, I can't do something because my mind, I need to rest. I need to think. Right. You know, we all need to do what's best to maximize what we have to offer. Artists need to trust people. Yes. And if they don't trust someone, they need to understand that their record is going to be one-dimensional.
Yes.
That's what the development is for. It's not to change you. It's not to control you. It's to add to you. It's to add to you.
Yes.
But again, there's no label forcing an artist to do so. So artists really got it a little harder because they're in charge. When you're in charge, you don't have to do nothing you don't want to do.
Right.
But it's great to encourage them to do the artist development because it can first impressions are last. We know that. We know that, first of all. There's so much music out there. You got to ask yourself, do you want to be an apple on a tree of 10,000s of people on it? Or do you want to be on a tree where it's just a few you all because you all put the time and the energy in to maximize your gift, and you have something special to offer because you had people you listened to, you had development, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where my head is at. I think we don't want to be in one and be at the mercy of just what's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You need to expand.
No, this is, man, let me tell you something. I hope everybody watching this is really just kind of not just listening to the words, but truly absorbing what's being said, because I think this is so powerful. And I want to add to this, and I'm going to bring Sean in to give his take on this as well. When you're talking about the example that you gave with Kim Burrell and how when you worked with her, she did something that she knew was needed for her to reset and recalibrate. One of the things that we're really focused on with the Avidity Awards, it's been a part of our platform now for the last couple of years. And since we launched our new nonprofit, Avidity Cares, this year we're putting a very, very heavy emphasis on mental health wellness, especially in the Black community, but even more specifically in the faith-based space in the Black community, because I think a lot of times the thought is, well, I'm singing gospel music, I'm singing about Jesus, therefore my mental is already there. And to your point, they find out when they get in the studio or when certain things challenge them, even career-wise, and they're trying to sit there scratching their head. I think it's so important that we learn as Black people that we destigmatize the necessity of mental health wellness, and you prioritizing that even over the music. Right? Like making sure that because at the end of the day, you are still ministering. And if you're not in a clear headspace or heart space or spiritual space to do that, then how do you really make that impact. So Sean, I want to that point, I want to bring you in. What would you say to artists that you may have had to deal with this over the years, dealing with artists? What would you say to that?
Yeah, man, that's dead spot on. Like now, what I'm learning to do more of, and I have done in the past, is before we even get to the point of we're recording something, we sitting down and we're having a conversation. See, that we don't talk no more, man. We just text, and we don't get a chance to really sit down and get to know each other. And recording is a very vulnerable space. It's a very vulnerable space for the artists. They're pretty much we're asking them to bare their souls on this record, but we haven't taken the time to learn about them. So, that's something that I've incorporated for quite some time now, is that I'll sit down. Hey, let's go to dinner. Let's talk about what you want to do. Let me hear, not only that, but let me hear about you. Tell me about yourself. Like, tell me about your life. Tell me about how you grew up. Tell me about your kids. Those type of things. And in those times, we really get a chance to know each other, and that's where the trust piece comes in now, because we've spent time together and we've gotten to know each other. So now, when if I happen to try to go a little hard on you in the studio, it's not from a place of me just trying to be mean or anything. I'm just trying to get the best out of you, and I've actually learned things about you that I can evoke certain type of emotion from you to get what I need for that record. But had I not talked to you and learned about you and what, just about your life, I wouldn't be able to do that. But, it's important to see what kind of headspace a person is in prior to getting into that studio and prior to getting on that stage. Man, that was such an awesome analogy of what Asaph was saying, is how in the church we've been just, oh, you have death in your family? Oh, I want to pray for you. Okay, get on stage. It's like, okay, how can I minister from a broken place like that? It's almost next to impossible. And we've done that for so long. And I think that's one of the main reasons why some of the things don't pan out successfully like we want them to, because we're covering up all of this other stuff with just stuff. We're covering up the deep stuff with other stuff. Like, hey, just get up there and sing. Just get up there and sing. Just get up and sing. We're not taking the time to actually minister to the whole man themselves. It's so vital, man. It's so important to be in a healthy headspace to do this, man, because that's how you're going to get the best out of what you're doing. And I always tell people when I'm producing like lead vocals, I'm like, I always tell artists, like, people are going to know if this came from your heart or if it just came from your head. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so you have to really, really, really tap into where a person is and know them wholly as much as you can in the time allotted to be able to do this effectively, man. It's so vital. I don't know how to stress it enough.
Listen, if everybody that's watching this, I need y'all, listen, make sure, if you have not already, please like and share this video. Again, I ask you all to like and share it, because for those of you that don't know much about social media, when you like and share videos, it increases the algorithm's reach so that more people see the video, because we want to try to get this to as many artists and producers and really anyone in the music business really can, I think, benefit from what we're talking about tonight. I want to turn a quick corner, and we're going to come back to the artist side, Asaph, but I want to kind of deal with producers, because I know that's a part of your heart, is mentoring producers. A lot of the up and coming producers call you Unc and see you as a mentor. Let's talk about them for a minute, from the development side of the ball. What do you think are some of the things that aspiring producers, or even producers that just got started, or maybe even been doing it a while, what are some of the things that they should be doing to prepare for that development?
Okay, well, great. One thing, first of all, you're going to kind of hear, this is not a churchy side of me, but when an artist is coming to a producer, it used to not matter. And when I say it used to not matter, I'm not saying that means it used to be okay. But the spiritual mindset of a producer is important, because artists are leaning on that producer. They're like a music spouse or musical. They are a confidant. They're holding a person's dreams in their hand. And I feel like producers, the first thing a producer needs to understand is really what is it that a producer ultimately does. And to sum it up quick for me, and there's not one answer, okay? But a producer makes great decisions. That's what a producer does. People think a producer can play a keyboard to death or the instrument that they play to death. You can be the most incredible musical director. Now, actually, I'm going to say band director because people mix up the musical director and band director word too. But you can be great with the band and not be the right person to produce a project because you're only thinking about the musical part. You know, there's a vocal part. Decisions are important. I'm a keyboard player. I love creating music. But if a song requires somebody else's gift and not mine, I have to be okay as a producer that this other producer is going to get some shine. They're going to get some, oh my God, you killed that, man. Oh, you killed that. I'm affirmed by the overall totality of a project being produced properly. I'm not affirmed by somebody saying that I killed it. And I think a producer needs to understand that it's about making great decisions. Did I choose the right key for this artist? Did I choose the right drummer for this artist? You know, one thing, for an example, you can have a producer can have a drummer and a bass player in mind. And let's just say the bass player is a percussive bass player. They're used to, they're used to just move it. They're percussive. I'm not going to put a percussive drummer that plays a lot of 16ths on his hi-hat with that bass player. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to have to I need a drummer who can get in and get out. But mainly they're going to lay in the pocket because that bass player happens to be a percussive player. I'm not going to get a main key guy who's going to, if the guitar player is the focus on a song, I'm not going to hire a main keyboard player that's virtuoso, because a virtuoso person, they're affirmed by their right hand. So that's going to get in the way of the guitar being virtuoso. So as a producer, am I going to make the right decision putting people together? And I don't believe there's one answer with musicians. I believe any 4 to 5 guys that are professional minded can create amazing music. They don't have to know each other. But that producer has to be able to make good decisions so the artist can be shown in their best light. A lot of times I consult with labels, or they'll send me their music, or this artist, what do you think about this? And the artist sounds great, but because whoever produced it, they did not manage all of the pieces, it did not make the artist sound like they were in their best light. So again, I'm not about to disrespect somebody else's decision, you know, to put that together. So I have to let them know why something did this and why something sounded like that. But producing is making decisions. I don't have to play. I don't have to touch a keyboard. I don't have to play an instrument. Can I bring the right guys together? Can I go in the studio and can I cause that artist to smile while they're singing? Can I help that artist feel empowered? If they having a nervous breakdown, can I go in there and pray with them? Can I manage the room? That's what a producer is. So that's the first thing. Producers need to be okay with that. Now I'm going to say this because I need to say it. I don't believe that there's one type of producer. I know guys who are amazing with creating tracks. They beat guys. They know how to make, and I believe they're essential to the production process. So if I use a guy that just does music, he's a producer. But it's an understanding that we have that their role is to produce that music track and to make it be hot. My job is to oversee it and to make sure the vocals are right. And then we bring it together. And then guess what? It's my responsibility to help the next by being fair. And we'll end up being co-producers because we partnered on the production of a song. You can't just doing everything don't mean you also. Now people say, Asaph, you do everything. I ain't seen you I've co-produced with a couple people, but God did bless me to be a type of producer that makes good enough decisions to where I'm out. You just hire me and you got it. That's my gifting. The Lord did that for me, but I still believe every producer has the potential to have that. You have to be available emotionally to partner with people. And that's what a producer has to feel like they're doing, because if you're not careful, a producer really ain't a producer, they're a recording artist. And if you get a recording artist producing your album, that producer is going to produce their album on that artist's record.
Hey, can
Lord.
I piggyback off of that?
Yes, you can.
He led right into what I was getting ready to say. Man, as producers and upcoming producers, this is a big piece of advice. You have to remember that whatever record you get hired to do, this is not your record. It's not yours.
Mighty God.
Yeah.
It's the artist record. So you have to, even though you have ideas, you have to make sure that you tailor make that record for that artist. You can't, always, like this is the biggest thing that I always try to share with up and coming younger producers. Like, man, I don't want to see how many chops you know. I don't want to see how flashy you can be on a song, because is that commercially viable? Can somebody understand that? Like, can somebody, is the regular Joe gonna listen to that record and be like, man, I feel that? Or is it just gonna be a bunch of chops overshadowing the message of the song? And now we don't know what to listen to. I don't know whether to listen to the vocals. I don't know whether to listen to the drummer. I don't know whether to listen to the bass player, all the riffs the guitar player is doing. Oh, the horns sound great. Like, man, it's so important to make sure you craft that record so it fits the artist and what they're trying to convey.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me interject something real quick, because we do something called the Indie Gospel Music Review every other Tuesday. So shout out, we're starting next Tuesday, y'all, November the 7th. We're going to be back on Clubhouse at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Indie Gospel Music Review. So y'all want to submit that, definitely send us an email to the Indie Artist Help Desk at gmail.com. And y'all going to get in there and get that music submitted if you want to be a part of the upcoming show for Tuesday night. But when you said that, Sean, I thought about something. In that room, when we do the music review, now, most of the time, we've had you on the stage, we've had Asaph on stage, and both of y'all giving brilliant advice the whole time. One of the things that we used to hear some of the songs that would be presented, and we would tell them, because most of us are radio people. We're either radio promoters or programmers, on-air personality, and some of us are all three, like in my case, right? And so we would tell the artist, you know what? I like your song, but it's too busy musically. Like, there's a lot going on. Or, Sean, to your point, the mix and the mastering wasn't really good. It's not going to convey well on radio, or it's not what we call radio ready, because radio ready is not just about the length of the song. It's also about, does it meet all of the metrics that needs to happen, especially if that song is being played on an AM station, for example. It's got to go through a lot more processes. So a lot of programmers like to have a WAV file when they have an AM station, because they want that uncompressed audio that can really be transmitted clearly on an AM transmitter. So just stuff like that. Now we're gonna have a radio masterclass, so don't I ain't gonna go too far into that. But I wanted to just bring that out. And Asaph, I want to go back to you on these points that Sean was making about. I love what you said about the decisions, and I'm glad you led the conversation with producers about the decisions that they make, because I thought that was spot on. Because at the end of the day, you bring me a producer that makes good decisions, and I will show you a successful producer every time. And we all know the success is not measured in one thing or another, right? There are different metrics to success. But I want you to kind of speak more, go back to piggyback off of what Sean was talking about with this, the way these instrumentations and all this stuff is going, you're using, and how you're making those decisions, how you have to think about the broader reach of this record. To your point, once it's past production and post-production, what happens next? Have the decisions that I've made as a producer make this song a fit for radio, for DSP, right? Digital service providers, right? And for other stages. So speak to that part.
Yeah, it's like it's a party that you stay at until it's over, and you help wash the dishes and clean up.
Yep.
I mean, that you can't come and enjoy the party from 10 to 12 and then decide you're going to leave. Sometimes think about it. What you do for those 2 hours at that party is going to be based on the fact that you're not staying. You're going to eat all that food up. You're not going to clean it up. You're going to leave cups everywhere. You're liable to go mess up the bathroom. You're going to do all that. Now, we're talking about a regular party, not a drunk party. But just period, you won't respect the party, because why should I when I'm only going to be there for this part and that part? You have to be committed from beginning to the end. And that, I think, is where it gets muddy, because what an artist will do, or what a producer will do, is because they don't vocal produce, they have to now have a vocal producer in, because they are engineering and shouldn't be engineering because they got a MacBook Pro. Now the files aren't clean like they need to. So now we need to find a way to fix that. So now we got to hire another guy. One thing I got to say that I don't regret. I don't regret this, but a lot of times I was brought in to clean up something, you know, and I'll be thinking, man, I wonder what happened if I'd have been here in the beginning, you know, from a decision standpoint. So it's very important that a producer knows that it's a beginning to the end type of process. Sean is absolutely correct. It's not your record. I will say this. It's one of the main reasons why I do my mentor program that I do. And I'm going to be honest with you. My mentor program is more geared towards the vocalist than it is the producer, because there's a personal development that goes along with an artist being able to understand a producer. And since I'm a producer, I'm a great example of how I can help them understand a producer. So I have a membership community, and I mentor people. I have that because I need to be able to help mentor. And I don't think it's enough of us doing that. So prime example, these contest shows.
Mm-hmm.
These contest shows may be on for 3 to 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
but it really only took 2 weeks to cut the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
That means someone who was not ready is now a star in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yes. Wow. That's a great point, man.
Yeah, man.
And we're wondering, why did they do that? And why did they act like that? And why did they do this? They didn't even give those people time to grow. They became a star overnight.
Yep.
And I feel like that it's a team effort. Sean is completely right about a conversation that needs to take place. I believe the mix is important. Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Mm-hmm.
Artists, I do know that we're using DistroKid and TuneCore and all these other places to put out music. One thing that I want producers and artists to recognize is the word legacy.
Yes.
When you're putting music out,
yes,
that stuff lives.
yes.
It is not a hobby. It is something that your great grandkids later down the line will love to be proud of. That means the decision of getting the song mixed to the best of your ability is very important. I nowadays, I'm going to make sure that comes out first when I'm dealing with people when they deal with budgets. I'm going to take that out because I need to know that I can get it mixed by the right person, because even though I'm a mixer too, I don't want to do all things. I don't want to be all things. You know, I'm like, I got to give me somebody else to mix. I got to pay a Roger Willis to master it. And then when it gets to him, he can't fix what the mixing didn't do.
That's right.
Mixing can't fix what the producer didn't allow.
Come on.
So it's kind of like a
Asaph,
domino
I gotta
effect.
let me interrupt with
Yeah.
that, because you said something so powerful. I do think I know this is a 25-year career dealing with independent artists. I know for a fact you are spot on. There are so many artists that do think that the mix is going to absolve the issues with production, or that the mastering will absolve the issues with the mix.
Nope.
And, or watch this, they don't understand, right, that how all three things and elements are completely and entirely different and require a certain skill set to do correctly and well. So I wanted to just put that in there, because, and I'm saying this to independent artists, I know I'm putting my artist manager cap on now, and saying, it's like I used to tell the artists, I'm your manager, I am not your assistant, right? Like, you have to understand what my function and role is in this relationship. Yeah. And I think a lot of times we have artists who do not understand the proximity between them and their manager, them and their producer, them and their engineer, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to just kind of do a deep dive into that a little bit, because I want everyone watching this to walk away from this understanding that there are distinctions and differences in all of these areas. So please kind of take a little bit more time, if you don't mind, you and Sean, on those differences.
Well, on which particular areas?
Okay, so for example, let's just start with the producer side, and then mixing, and then mastering.
Okay.
But before we do that, let me do this real quick, because I forgot. Kyron Monterio, who's one of our a friend of ours, a mastering engineer, asked this question: what's your advice on artists affording mixing and mastering? Mixing can start at $500 per mix, $150 for mastering. Typically, most artists don't have the budget.
Well, honestly, that's one of the things that I'm talking about in my membership. There has to be some personal development and some coaching to educate artists on what's necessary. I was just sharing with my community that you have to give yourself, it's happening. You got to give yourself permission. I'm going to say this. You got to give yourself permission to invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
Because what it is the church taught us not to invest in ourselves.
Yep.
Only invest in the church.
Right.
So what happens is an artist needs to feel like they have permission to spend money, to go get the money. We go get the money when we need a car. We go get the money when we need to get another, when we need an outfit,
vacation,
when we need clothes, when we need all this other stuff. But what we do is we feel like we don't have to invest money on the very thing that God gave us that makes us happy. You know, that's a part of our mental health. So I try to coach my community into giving themselves permission to invest in themselves. So that mastering engineer that said that, it's like, it's because the artists don't have any insight of why it's important to spend money on mixing. Right. Because in their mind, can't you just turn these up? And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes the producers create that, because at one point in my life, I'm gonna admit something. Let me admit something. Early on in my career, I did think I can do everything. I thought I can do the music. I thought I could produce it. I thought I could mix it. I thought I could master it. It wasn't until I was in LA working with an artist, and this record was more on the mainstream side. And it was faith-based, but it was mainstream. And the label said, Asaph, you're the future. You're amazing. I was smiling. Yeah, I'm trying to do my thing. I know what I want to hear, and this, that, that's kind of vibe I had. I wasn't arrogant. I just was, for the level of production I was doing, I was sure that what I'm doing works. It took this guy saying, yeah, man, but you know what? Your music ain't where it's at. I mean, your mixing ain't where it's at, Doc. It's not. He told me it's not. And I said, it's not? He said, nah, it's garbage for what we're doing. And it took him using that language for me to have to really evaluate that. And then what he did was he hired me a real mixer. I will never forget. It was Dexter Simmons. He hired me. He worked with Brandy's Full Moon and a lot of other artists. Real mixer. And I remember going in there, as a producer, thinking we're going there to mix. I was excited about it, actually. I wasn't too hurt. I was hurt that he said my mixes wasn't it, but I wasn't hurt that somebody else came in. I'm like, I'm gonna see what's going on. And I'm in there. He says, don't you got something you got to do? He says, have you eaten yet? I says, no. He said, man, why don't you go get something to eat, man? You can come back. Come back about 2 or 3 hours. So I went to eat, came back 2 or 3 hours, and he was still working. He says, I said, how's it going? He said, well, pretty good. He says, have you seen that such movie yet? And I was like, no, I haven't seen it. He said, man, I heard it's real good. I said, really? Yeah, man, why don't you go see a movie? I got some stuff I still got to do. So I went to see that movie. About 8 hours went by, and he was finally ready for me to hear his first draft.
Yeah.
And when I heard the pressure that the kick and the snare had, and when I heard the pressure of the bass, the synth bass I had, and I was able to hear everything on volume 1. I was able to hear everything, but we just needed to do some writing. I said, whoa, I realized, man, I wasn't ready. And once I saw that, he was like, yeah, we just got to change things. Then he says, all right, let's do some rides. He actually let me stay, and then we did some rides. And then at one point, the lead vocal was not loud enough.
Right.
It was perfect, but it wasn't loud enough. I grabbed that fader and I started pushing it up. He's like, stop. I'm like, what? He says, that ain't how we turn up vocals. He said, to turn a vocal up, you got to turn something down. I said, what? These are things that I just, it makes sense, but what? No. So he says, give me a couple hours. I was like, cool. I gave him a couple hours. Finally, he sat and went through every single instrument till he found out what instrument was in the frequency of the lead vocal. In this particular song, he took 2 hours to do this. In this particular song, it was the strings. He didn't turn the strings down. He just EQ'd it different. And the lead vocal said, poof.
Yep.
I said, all right. I confess. I repent. This is what mixing is. And he taught me so much. And I learned. That's why I mix now. Like, I realized that mixing, it was making or breaking my music. It was working with Prince Charles Alexander, who did Jodeci's Diary of a Madman. Working with all of these type of secular mixers, they actually do things in excellence. And then us on the faith-based side, we don't do things in excellence because we don't want to invest in ourselves.
Right.
So to me, that is the answer to that question that came up. We have to do a better job educating the artists. Like this conversation that Sean has with his artists, depending on who's going to mix it, he's going to have that conversation. Okay, now we got it. Mixing is very important because blah, 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 blah. They'll understand this. You can't pop a mixing conversation up mid record, like because they're getting married to their demo that they're going home with.
Man,
the rust that you give them, they're getting used to that. They're ready to put that out in the store.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let Sean piggyback. One of the things that I do, and I posted this before, but I have an artist that don't understand how important mixing is. I tell them to take their song, and they're used to hearing their song a la carte and compartmentalized. It's like take 5 other artists that are mainstream, that's on the charts, gospel charts, and take one of their songs and put your song in rotation with it. See what happens when your song, when the song goes off before yours, and see what happens when your song come on, and see what happens when your song go off. That's gonna tell you that it never fails. They're like, oh my God, my drums are thin. I can't even hear my drums. Oh, what? It's so soft. Oh my God, I can't hear my backgrounds. I said, yeah, that's mixing.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to spend time with an artist and let them see and let them learn, because they got much music to do later. They got tons of records to do.
Yep.
Why work with an artist and don't pour into them?
Right.
So that's really, I feel like it's twofold. I just feel like producers are there to support an artist. We're also there to help an artist evolve.
Yep.
And if we look out for the artist, guess who's going to look out for us? Them artists.
Yep. Yeah.
It ain't us against them.
Yeah. That's so key. Like my thing is, like even as Asaph said, like even when you can mix, my strategy generally is I want as many ears on this record as I possibly can get, as many professional ears. Because, I mean, although we're the major decision makers, there's sometimes we might let something, we might have
we will let something slide.
Yeah.
Flip.
And if you got that right mixing engineer, be like, hey, Doc, did you hear such and such, such and such? Like, what do you want me to do? You want to go back and catch that, or you want me to do something? So it's like, I love having the separate ears through the process on it.
You're
like,
available for that.
Yes.
You're available though for that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remove your pride out of the way
absolutely.
to allow some other. Listen, I was on tour. I was working on this Dorinda Marvin Winans record or whatever that we was working on, and not too long ago, I was on a bus with other up and coming guys that are incredible. They're working on their projects, but I'm the OG to them. Ain't too much we can tell Asaph. Asaph's the answer. I beg to differ. I was mixing on the bus with the mixer with this software where so we can hear what he's doing. And I said, hey guys, listen to this. Tell me what y'all think. Tell me what y'all would do different. What y'all hear? They were so shocked, but they were so excited. They got on there and it was like, you know what? That main keyboard might need to come up just a little bit. And you know what? That background vocal might be not loud enough. They was giving me, they wasn't afraid to tell me what they thought. Why? Because I made myself available to be able to let other ears tell me something. And I made corrections based off what they said. Yeah. And they thought that was so cool. Right. I said, don't y'all forget to do that.
Right. Because it's so easy to get bogged down in that record, and you're listening to this record over and over and over and over and over. It's like something Kevin Bond told me a long time ago. He was saying, like, whenever you get to the point where you're clogged mentally or you have a blockage, change your space in which you create.
Yeah.
And it works, man. So it's the same concept of when you're listening to this record, you've listened to this over. So some stuff you start to cancel out. You don't hear it anymore. But then when you get another set of ears on this, you know what I'm saying? It just betters the process. It makes for a better product at the end of the day. So you always got to have other ears on it. Even though you may be gifted to do it all, it's probably not a good idea to do it all.
Well, Sean, because you've even let me hear some of your records you were producing. He'll say, hey, bro, listen, I got this record, man, I'm working on. I want you to hear it. Because to your point, he wasn't necessarily getting my technical expertise. He was getting my expertise as a radio promoter.
Absolutely.
And as a radio programmer. Yep. So, which I have a whole nother vantage point aside from the technical aspects of what y'all are doing musically. And so I noticed to be true that that's what he does. That's a part of his process. And, I'm always honored to get that call because, and I'll, of course, I'm always going to make time to do it if he wants me to do that. Because I think to the point, man, look, at the end of the day, all of us, I think what I think makes the Christian or spiritual space, gospel space so much different is that the messaging is really important. And I think anything that we can do to help enhance that record so that the message cuts through without distraction. Does that make sense?
Yes,
right. Like that's the thing. I think that's the thing that we don't think enough about. It's like, okay, well, is something in this record a distraction from what we're trying to convey from a message perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, the music is hot and great, and it's all that's wonderful. But if the message is lost, then did we really do our jobs? Right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's my position,
and then again, like I said, when people would close their drawboards and not let me see it, us as producers, the ones who you have had a lot of records and done a lot of things, we really have to share more. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing it more, because I be listening to people's stuff, and there's an easy tip. Like, for instance, producers may not know this. I'm going to give y'all a freebie here. When you're producing an artist that sings soprano, and they're singing in soprano range through the whole song mainly, you have to be careful when you're mixing, because a lot of times we'll mix and turn the lead up at the end. And once you get the blends of the soprano, altos, and tenors, and they can be perfect until that lead come in. You have to make adjustments sometime, and you may have to turn the soprano background down lower for the totality of the song, because that soprano automatically has the listener hearing soprano heavy.
Right.
So it's like, it's so many different things that I've learned. I've mixed great records and get home and you can hear that nothing but altos, or
Right.
you hear nothing but tenors. I've messed up mixes. I don't tell nobody. And I'm just like, man, I didn't know. But then I learned frequency. It's because that lead vocalist is an alto. And I had the altos up too loud. Bring them altos down, the listener immediately will balance your mix out without you telling them how to. You know, so it requires other ears. It just does. You got to be available to want a radio person's opinion. You got to be available to let another producer who's your peer or whatever, being an OG with it, people want me to hear stuff all the time. But if I'm not an OG, I represent what's good out there. You got to be available to allow yourself to be available to hear what other people are doing. That being in just one person's mind thing is narcissistic.
Yeah. Sure. For sure.
And it's innocent, but that's what it is. You gotta allow people in, and this way you want people to enjoy your music, but you want to enjoy it yourself. You know what I'm tired of hearing? I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
I'm tired of artists when they send me something and they want me to hear it. The disclaimer I get is, I don't love it. I don't love it, but it's what I had to work with. Why are you sending me something you are not proud of? And I'm just telling you, you got to be proud of your stuff. And if you're not proud of it, this is why I offer the evaluations in my community. The people in my program, they get to send me something to evaluate for them. And so a person of my caliber can put my ears on it and say, this is great about it, this is great about it, this is great about it, this is not so great, Because artists need an opportunity to be evaluated. What you do on your radio, on your clubhouse thing, what's funny is that's important.
Absolutely.
But they need to understand what production decisions, and I don't care, when you married your husband and he does your music, that could be a conflict of interest. Then you got cousin Pookie, he's doing it, and then you're a pastor and you don't want your MD to lead a church, so he's got to be the producer. It's like all of these diplomatic things. Just don't be mad when other people don't embrace your music, because you need to invest into yourself to maximize what you have to offer, period.
Yeah.
Listen, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Here's why all of this is so powerful, and especially this last part that you just got through talking about, because these are universally problematic things that are continuing to be pervasive especially amongst independent, new emerging artists. Because you said something, I want to go back to this investment piece. But I want to approach it though from a non-monetary perspective. Okay. Now some may say, well, how do you approach a conversation about investment without mentioning money? I'm not saying I'm going to discard it. I'm saying for the sake of this part of the discussion, I'm going to set it to the side. I'm going to give you a different or a more balanced perspective of what investment means. And one of the things that I'm constantly beating the drum about with independent artists is investment is not just monetary. You also have to consider the investment of time. Watch this. The investment of judgment, wisdom, and good decision making. Because guess what? The producer's not the only one that has to make good decisions. As an artist who is now also the label, you have to make good decisions too. Because that's song selection, that's release times or what time of the year. You know, does this song fit what's happening industry wise from a messaging perspective? Is it in tune with what's going on in the world? There are all kinds of decisions you have to make as an artist outside of the fact that you're just saying, God gave me a song when I was, I was asleep last night. It was about 2 a.m. and I levitated off my bed about 4 feet and the room was real cloudy. And I saw 2 angels flying over me and they said, this was the song that was going to reach the nations. Great. However, how do we get to the point to where that end that you saw materializes, right? And this is where I feel like there keeps being a failure. When we talk about a failure to launch, the failure to launch is when you decide you want to be in an industry where you feel that investment and education are unnecessary. You are setting yourself up, to me, for disaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's go back to here we go again in the investment piece. What kind of time are you willing to invest with this record that goes outside of what you spent on having it produced?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me go deeper. Investment is going to look like this as an artist with a song. Do you know the message behind this song? No, I'm not talking about do you know the lyrics. I'm asking you, when you have to pitch this song to radio, if you're in an interview and they ask you to tell us the inspiration behind this song, do you have a solid, coherent, and cohesive message of what that song is and means? Because here's the thing. If you are on radio and you are blessed to be given that 5 to 10 minutes of time, in some cases longer, depending on who you're interviewing with, that is like sweet time. Do you know a lot of commercial ads are anywhere from $50 to $150 per 30 seconds?
Yep.
And you've gotten 5 to 10 minutes. So what's my point? The investment in understanding what your story is, what your narrative is, what the messaging is important, so that when you get on that station, what is the goal of the radio interview? It is not just so that the programmer will be invested in you and the song and play it, but it's also to get buy-in and rapport with that audience that's listening to that song, and ultimately to minister to them. But guess what? You can't even get them to, it won't even minister to them. Well, oh my God. It won't even reach the point of ministry if you don't have a rapport. And this is what we're talking about, relationship building in this industry. I always tell them, before you can get to relationship, you got to have rapport, because rapport tells me how well I like you or not, how well I relate to you or not. If I can relate to you and if I like you, then we can build relationship, because relationship is built because now we have a foundation established that says you are someone that I would like to be in relationship with. All right. And I know Sean's got to go. Sean, I'm sorry, man. I know we gotta have y'all.
Man, this is good. We gotta do this again. I apologize. I got a 7 o'clock commitment.
Yes.
I gotta keep. So, but man, I have enjoyed this so much. It is so much more to be said. But I'm gonna cut out Asaph. Man, it's been a pleasure being on this with you, man. Derrick, thank you for the opportunity all the time, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, love y'all, bro. I'll see y'all later.
Yes, sir. Love you too. So, Asaph,
Likewise.
in our final moments, I want to give the audience, those that are listening, if you have any questions that you have for Asaph, because it's about him, he's our guest. I want y'all, don't be shy to ask those questions, because ask them why you can. See, this is what I'm saying. Maximize. You said that earlier, Asaph.
Yes.
Maximizing opportunities like this, when you have someone of his caliber and stature that's here that can answer your question for free, right? And people always say to me in the industry, well, Derrick, you do all this stuff for free for people, and they're not trying to hear nothing. They're trying to do this. That's a lie. No one always does anything. No one always never does a thing.
Right.
The truth is, we all kind of do it. We kind of not do it, and all of that. My point is this. You don't have to be the artist that suffers because you don't have the information. But at the same time, you've got to at least put the investment to say, hey, I'm going to spend an hour or two and get on Facebook Live and hear what these men have to say to me, right? And how it can change and, pull me up and enhance what I'm doing. So Christopher Wingfield says, Asaph, how do you get the ear of the radio programmers?
Well, first of all, you already started. He's going to do a panel on this, I'm sure, soon. But my experience of what I've known is you got to be available to hear what you don't want to hear. Like a lot of times, my intros when I first was starting, they were too long. I wasn't getting to any singing or anything. It doesn't have to go to the hook. It doesn't have to go necessarily to the verse, but it helps to get to the hook of the song sooner. What is it, 30, 40 seconds? What do you think? What would you say, Derrick?
Yeah. Okay, am I there?
Yeah, you're here.
All right. Yes, 30 to 40 seconds. You want to be at the hook or chorus within 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah, and so hearing that messed with my arrangements because what was I doing? I was thinking about, yeah, they gonna love this. Yeah, they gonna like this. Yeah, they gonna love this. Well, what I did after a while as a producer is I went into production thinking radio. Even if it ain't a radio single, how can I make this song not be 5-6 minutes long? How can I get to the chorus sooner in my songwriting? How can we get there? It's practicing those principles because it's not a radio. I don't call it a radio thing. I call it, this is what is necessary.
Yeah.
It's just necessary. TV is going to be shorter than that. And radio nowadays, think about DJs that do parties. They do residencies. They don't stay on the song. Even they be like a minute, 45 seconds to a song. Then they scratch into another song. Yep. People don't want to think about the reels and stuff. Nobody wants to hang on to 3 minutes even more anymore. So yeah, it's that. You just gotta maybe pay attention to the when the radio thing's gonna come, and then ask those radio because they all speak the same language. And at the end of the day, work on your personality and being available. I don't care that I've been doing music for a long time. I'm gonna treat Derrick no different than what I treat somebody who's been doing radio with me for 25 years because a radio announcer is someone that you need, and radio announcers need good music. So it's a great relationship. So building relationships with radio people when you meet them, and then be okay with them chopping your stuff up. Like, yo, this is too long. This is too that. And don't be hurt. But you got to cut those intros down, and you got to get to the hook faster.
One of the things, and the reason, and you said something, we are going to definitely do a radio masterclass. I ain't going to tell y'all, boy, I got some powerhouses that we're going to do on that panel, but I'm not going to tell you. But one thing I will add is this. Don't die on the heel of one song. What does that mean? That means, okay, I sent my song to radio and the programmer said they can't play the song for whatever reason. It's too long. The messaging doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the culture of our station, whatever the reason is, right? What you have to remember is the important thing here is the relationship with the programmer, because you're going to record more music.
Absolutely.
Ideally, right? So why ruin a relationship with radio, getting sassy with them about not playing the one song when in 6 months you're going to record another song that might be the one that they can support on radio? And so keep those kinds of things in mind. And so I guess we're going to foreshadow, because that's what's going to be next is the radio masterclass. But I want y'all to just be thinking about those things. And then also when it comes to this, you said something powerful too. Like, don't be insulted or feel bad because they said they turned that down, because here's what you have to remember. You're thinking as an artist, they're thinking as a radio programmer. They're thinking about something that's called total time spent listening, TSL, okay, TTSL, right? That's what they're thinking about, which means how long can we keep that one listener on the station without turning the channel? If your song is not up to snuff, they just got through playing "I Can Do All Things" by Kirk Franklin, and then when they get to your song, the people drop off because the song is not as good quality. You see what I'm saying? Then they've lost that listener. So just be thinking about that. But we'll get more into that on down the line. When we get to our radio class, we'll dive more into radio. But I definitely want to make sure that we do this part 2, Asaph, because I always feel like the work is really never done with what we do, and how you are a mentor, I'm a mentor, how what we do I think is critical. And I think as long as there is pervasive ignorance about the industry, it's important that we have people here giving of our time. And one thing I will say to you that I've always admired about you, and I appreciate, from the first time I've been knowing who you were for years and years and years, but you didn't know. I'm talking about when we actually got acquainted with one another, and you knew who I was too. Was that you have always you've always walked the talk when it comes to wanting to invest your time to share information with others. I think that's important. I do believe strongly in to whom much is given, much is required. I think that when God has blessed you to get to a certain station and level in your career or life, that we do have an obligation, just morally and even spiritually, to pay that forward to other people who don't know.
Yes.
Because we were once the newbies, and no one knew us, and we didn't have any accolades behind our name, and nobody knew any of those things. So think about how you felt back then. That's what I always tell people in our industry. I don't have time. You spend too much time with them independent artists. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, but that's why you only plateau to a certain point.
Period.
Because you're not giving. You gotta give.
Yes. There's a lot of great talent out there. That word independent, I'm gonna speak this to everybody, anybody that's listening actually to this. If you can hear me clearly, don't allow the word independent to water you down. Because when you're looking up to the people who we don't, an independent artist just means you ain't got somebody pulling your chain. Yeah. It just means you're not on the label. There are artists right now that are mainstream, that's on tours, and they're not on the label. And guess who they are now? An independent artist.
Yep.
Don't look at independent artists as the rejects. We're the people that couldn't get a record deal. Ain't no such thing as a record deal kind of no more.
No.
You know, if you could be an independent artist and have the budget, raise the money or whatever, and just outsource your stuff and be a label. You don't have to worry about none of that. Don't let the word in. I speak against every spirit that whispers the word independent artist as being a negative thing. An independent artist can be amazing, or an independent artist can be low level. You have to choose which one you want to be. You're going to be an amazing independent artist. And if you're an independent artist, that means you got your publishing. That means you got your masters. That means you in a situation to where you can actually evolve and grow the kingdom and build legacy. So let's get rid of that stigma of what independent means. Gason said, you work, Asaph? You don't mind working? I didn't think you would work with an independent artist. Y'all don't even know what independent means. I want to work with who's hot, who think they got it. Convince me.
My Lord.
Let's do it. You know, it ain't no such thing. Independence is just a word. I just want to make sure everybody understood that. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm gonna say this too to y'all to piggyback on what Asaph said. Part of the reason why the indie artists, and this is just my feedback over the years, they feel that way is because mainstream, they've heard conversations
absolutely
by mainstream, both artists and professionals or executives, saying things like, oh child, I'm independent artist, or oh, the independent, and so essentially they have stigmatized independent as other or less than, and it's not. And this is part of the campaign with all of the entities that I have, the platforms that I have, is to help elevate the conversation about independent artists, but also elevate the independent artists themselves, and more importantly, elevate their mindset and enhance the mindset, so that when you say, yes, I'm an independent artist, but here's what that means. That means I am mainstream, doing things in a mainstream way. However, I am independent of a record label or deal. Absolutely. Or I have my own label that I am a part of. And so this is why the Avidity Awards even exist, and why we are taking the time to produce a very well produced, very well crafted show, so that when they attend, that they see, okay, we are not just the Less Than crew. We do deserve teleprompters and cameras and stage production and lights and LED, just like a major production is. But we're saying our production is major too. It's just catered to artists like you, because we feel and believe and know that you guys are worth that. Alex, I know you know this. Man, I heard some independent records I will put up against anybody mainstream right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now.
I agree. No, music is changing. There are people putting out music right now, streaming way higher than all of the. I mean, they streaming high. You know, they're calling it new R&B, gospel, Christian R&B, but it ain't that. It's urban, just with a new twist, and it's like it's at the end of the day, those people don't have labels, they don't have nothing. They're streaming high, and at the end of the day, they're collaborating.
Yes,
they're collaborating, which is another conversation. You know,
yes,
artists need to be available for collaboration.
Yes.
You know, it's just so many of those things, man. Congratulations to you with the Avidity Awards.
Thank you,
I'm
brother.
realizing that it's growing, and I do know every amazing thing that exists started somewhere, and you have catapulted to a place further than where you thought it would probably be at this time. And I just want to congratulate you for it, man, because I do think it's needed, and I think you can't just have one thing. You know, you got to go ahead and present some other things, and I'm proud, man. You know, you need anything you ever need from me. You know, I'm there, man. You got a great thing going, so congratulations to you on that.
Well, thank you, man, and appreciate you. And just again, thank you for even coming to do this with us. Look forward to having you on part 2. And I want to say this too. Part of what the Avidity Awards is designed to do is not just to be another award show that we will get on television and that whole nine, but part of the vision is to help independent artists get reach and visibility, so that even they can get things like corporate branded sponsorships or endorsements, which of course furthers their reach. Because here's the thing, if one of our indie artists is seen by Reebok on our stage and they give them an endorsement deal, that means they are now in Reebok commercials, where now millions of people will get exposure to that artist, then we'll get exposure to that gospel music that's being seen. So the vision for Avidity Awards goes so far beyond just an award show where we give out award pieces. It is also about building an infrastructure from a media perspective, because as from what I see, there are 2 things that independent artists I think are missing the most. When we just talked about it, most of this conversation has been about the development aspect of independent artists, but I think the other piece of it is having media access and visibility. And these are the 2 things we're trying to mesh together. So even on the Sunday after the show, we do the Indie Artist Help Desk live event all day Sunday. Shout out to Dillard University for partnering with us this year down in New Orleans. We'll be hosting this year's show, not the show itself, but the master classes that'll be live will be at Dillard University. And y'all just keep looking. I'm building a whole network with the HBCUs. We're in the process of developing an artist development curriculum for independent artists within the confines of these universities. So there's a lot we're doing.
That's great.
That's so beyond just the show. So I'm saying that, Alex, because I want the people watching to support what we're doing. And when I say support it, this is what I mean. I appreciate you guys getting on here and being a part of these master classes and tuning in. I think that's amazing. We also want you guys, come to the show, right? Buy a ticket to the show. If you can't come to the show this year, say, I want to sponsor. Let me donate. Let me sow into this movement, because I'm telling you, you mark my words, this movement is going to go global. And what that means is, we're not talking about going global just for the sake of going global. We want to go global so that we further the reach of gospel music, right? But also further the reach of these artists as well and what they're doing. So I believe in this. This is why I've put so much of my personal money, effort, time, blood, sweat, tears, you name it, into all of these endeavors. is so that independent artists have a say. And so I want to thank you for always championing that, being a part of the help desk stuff. You know, if you're free Tuesday next week, you know, come by the help desk. You can. If not, we understand. But I just want to say, man, salute to you, man, on just an incredible body of work. Never would you have told me back when, this is just my personal favorite record that you produced, is Dorinda Clark Cole's first record.
I'm Still Here album?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so that was my first. Well, I knew about Kim Burrell. You produced Kim Burrell too, but I'm telling you, my favorite record that you have produced, that my favorite, is that record. And there's a story behind it, and I'll tell you off of here why that's my favorite. It's not just because it's one of my favorite artists, Dorinda Clark Cole, but it's also about the meaning of that song and what it meant. Okay. But I say this to you to say this. Never would I have thought back then that I'd be sitting here on the panel talking to you. It's just so amazing how God
works. We don't
works.
know what we're doing. God only knows what's happening. Like I tell you, we want to think about the future as much as we want to, but we don't know nothing. The best we can do is be the best versions of ourselves so we can catch up to what God has for us. Yeah. You know, and be available and ready to receive the blessings that God has for us. Not being the best versions of ourselves forfeits us from those type of opportunities. So for me, I would have never known. And to be honest with you, there are people that would never know that you're going to be cutting checks for them. And who would have known that? Or the call, or, hey, can I come perform on your show? People need to start being nice to you. You know, it's like you never know you're going to be needed. Listen here, we don't know. All we can do is be the best versions of ourselves. Let God bless us and to maximize what we're doing and be the best versions of ourselves. That's the best thing that we can actually do. And like I said, I'm here for the artists, man. I do know there's not a lot of platforms at the moment from a coaching standpoint. So, you know, like I said, anytime somebody needs something, I'll gladly give you my information, send them to my email address, to my website, because God gave me a vision to do this membership community with singers and musicians and producers who feel like they want to maximize, but they are struggling with the fact that life got us in a place to where we can't level up. We just going to church, doing praise and worship, and we're going on tour, and we're not writing songs, we're not recording records. And God gave me this community to work on, and I'm grateful for it. And if I can give this out, it's asaphward.com. If you're interested in going to it, it's asaphward.com. We would love to have you. God fixed it because time and money is always an issue. And God told me to make it cheap. He told me to make it $19. So for $19 a month, you can have access to vocal training videos and modules and Zooms and personal mentorship. And I do evaluations, a lot of other things too. So it's like anybody who's interested in having access to someone like me, go to asaphward.com. And that $19 program is something. And I just added, this is going to be a blessing to you. I'm about to add my 7-chord piano program.
My God.
Let me tell you what it is. Artists, one thing I hear all the time is artists are writing songs. And they can't find somebody to put the music to their song. Yeah. And they wish they could play and don't know how to play. God gave me a piano program that's for beginners that don't know nothing about the piano. They'll be able to play any song they want and their song within 3 months.
Wow.
And that's in the membership too. So people just get that too. So I'm giving back a lot, you know, but I have to charge something because people, when they don't spend money, they don't take it serious. But I did make it cheap. I made it $19.
No, you said a mouthful, because again, that investment piece talks about, I agree wholeheartedly with you, because I've even had people try to come at me and say stuff like, you know, yeah, but you charge for these things, you charge for that. I said, because part of understanding how the business of music works is understanding that investment is a part of that. Monetary investment is a part of it. And so you have to do that. But we've always strived to make sure all of our things are affordable for people. But artists have to understand that, because there is a currency to this business that does extend outside of relationships. You have the relational component, but then you also have the monetary component that is a part of being in the music business. And so if you don't understand, that's like music business 101. You have to know those two things. It's
Absolutely.
about relationships, and it's also about making investments into yourself, right? And so that's the point we're making there. Shout out to my boy Shote. I see you on here. And Randall Williams. Thank all of y'all, man. Terry, Pierre Vaughn. That's my now listen, Asaph. This guy right here that's on the screen. Pierre Q Vaughn is my drummer.
Okay.
For the Avidity Awards.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's great.
Cold.
Yeah, because Morgan, hey Morgan, your MD or whatever.
Yes, Morgan.
I already know it's going to be smack.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try to be more available to come out and check these type of things out. Especially, I think this is a movement that should be supported. So I'm definitely going to try to do that. So that's great. Yeah, and
we would welcome you, man. Definitely let me know if you're able to make that happen. Because here's the thing. I don't want you to just come just to say, oh, well, hey, y'all, Asaph Ward came to our show. I want you to come so that you can see for yourself what we're putting together.
Yeah, I already know.
Something really special.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. We don't get, me and my wife, we liable to come out there and do that. So that's going to be great. I'm going to look at that now that I know when it is and what's actually happened with it. We just been really just building these systems and stuff that we're doing, and y'all do know that no one probably would do what I'm doing for that affordable $19.
No, they're not.
You go to Starbucks, we're talking about a month. People always talking about not having no money. That's when the Lord said, make it affordable. So no one has no excuses. So investing in yourself, no matter what it is, you gotta do it. You gotta invest in yourself. So I stand by this program I'm doing. So at least check it out. AsaphWard.com.
AsaphWard.com. Robin McGee, if you're still on here, please put that in the chat for me. Robin McGee, if you're still on, put AsaphWard.com down in the chat so everybody can see it. I want to encourage everybody on here. Listen, whether you think you need this or not, I promise you this man can teach you way more than you think he can. Trust me. It's worth $19. Listen, if back when I was cutting my teeth in this business, if Asaph Ward was doing classes for $19 back when he did the Gorilla Clark record, like I would have been so on that. Like, I'm telling y'all. So listen, okay, thank you, Randall and Terry, that put it down there. Y'all make sure that y'all go check him out. Go to AsaphWard.com and don't just go on the website and look around. Go on there and click the button and subscribe and put your credit card in there and pay this $19. It's $19 a month. You said I drink Starbucks, man, every day.
Yeah, listen, I know.
So you already know what it is.
You're not the only one. And I mean, just period. You're not the only one. And I'm telling you, that piano program, I'm not even going to sell it compartmentalized. I'm just giving it to all the people that's in the membership because it needs to come from serious people. And songwriters, artists, can you imagine putting music in chords to your own songs that you're writing? I know the Lord gave me that one, and I don't care what nobody tell me. Like, hey, so I hear all the time, you shouldn't have made it that. You shouldn't have made it that. I said, the Lord told me to make it affordable.
I know
that's what I did, and I'm not sticking to it. I'm here now, and I'll be on any other calls that we can actually do. So there wasn't no more
I want to bring you back. Yeah, I want to bring you back not only just for the producers panel part 2, but I want to bring you back just to talk about the mentorship program. Kind of like what we did before on Clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
Doing that, but instead doing it here on Facebook and YouTube Live so that people can see that. And then so they can really see in real time what this program is about,
Gotcha.
How it works, how it flows. And then obviously we can continue to convince them and persuade them to sign up. But $19, y'all, come on. You can't beat that. AsaphWard.com. Y'all go check it out. But Asaph, when you get a chance, I want you to check my guy out right here, Pierre.
Oh, I am. That's no doubt. That's no doubt.
You're a bad man.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We always produce. That's another thing. Producers like us, we're always looking for who can cut at home. Who can send clean drum sounds.
Yes.
Who can actually, who plays well with a click track, and we won't know until someone tells us, like you just did. So that'll make me check them out. Yeah. I think it's important to just put your best foot forward, no matter what you're doing. You never know who's going to shout you out. So that's a great thing.
Absolutely, all day. So listen, everybody, we want to thank our guest, the incomparable Asaph Ward, as well as Sean Keys. Next on part 2, y'all, I promise we'll have Morgan on. He got wrapped up in tour stuff. First night of his tour started tonight in Houston. He'll be in Dallas tomorrow, so I'll go out and I'll be with him tomorrow because he'll be here in Dallas. I forget the name of the venue right now, but yeah, he'll be here tomorrow. But listen, the next time we'll have him on with us. Thank y'all for being here. Listen, make sure that you go to asaphward.com. There it is on the screen, asaphward.com. Make sure that you sign up. $19. Now, a lot of y'all weave costs more than $19. Come on now. A lot of other stuff we buy, shoes and other stuff that we do. Y'all go $19 and go support this, asaphward.com, and check it out. While you're checking out asaphward.com, I also want to get you guys to go make sure that you go to the avidityawards.com as well, www.theavidityawards.com, because I want you to go on there. You can sponsor the show there. You can buy your tickets there. You can do all kinds of wonderful things on there, and I want you guys to go on there and check that out. Support what we're doing at the Avidity Awards. We're going to continue to bring these master classes y'all's way. Like I said, our next master class that I've got planned is the radio panel, and we're going to have some amazing radio programmers, people in sales and on air, to come on and talk to you guys about the radio industry and how you get your music prepared for radio. So you don't want to miss that either. You need to know these things. We're also going to do a graphics panel. So we're going to have my sis, Blair Monique Walker, and Claude Hamilton, and some other great, wonderful industry graphic designers, and telling you how important your graphics are to what you're doing. It's a part of your digital footprint. So that people know and I can identify your brand more readily, and why graphics play a big part in your brand identity. You need to be there. So we got a lot more classes coming, and these are going to be free. We're going to be doing these here virtually, not only now for the rest of this year, but all throughout 2024. I also want to remind y'all, be on the lookout for the Avidity Awards HBCU Indie Inspirations Tour, kicking off on Monday, January 15th on MLK Day at Dillard University in New Orleans, right after the Avidity Awards. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is such a special thing that God has just really just put in my lap to do. I didn't even realize. I'm like, oh my God, no one's doing anything like this at these historically Black colleges and universities. I think it adds value to those campuses, and I think what they will add a certain level of credibility to us. So we're excited about the partnership and the opportunity. Thank you for always supporting what we do at the Avidity Awards and all of the Avidity Consortium. I appreciate that so very much. All right, so we'll see y'all in New Orleans, January 11th through the 15th. It's going down. The biggest night in independent gospel music, the Avidity Awards. Don't you dare miss it. And asaphward.com, y'all. asaphward.com. Go get your $19 subscription. We'll see y'all for the next time. And we got to go. All right, y'all. Now I got to figure out how to end this thing. All right.
Bless you,
all right.
brother.
Peace and blessings. Thanks, Alex. We'll see you
All right,
next
man.
time. All right. God bless.